Lite mätt i... Nej, något.
We hope you guys have had a nice Christmas. This will be the last episode of 2023, and we wanted to do a special one and look back on all the things that we've done during this year and highlight some of the challenges and some of the rewards.
And also have a look what's going to happen during 2024. What's going to happen with the boat build, what's our plans, and what we wish to achieve during the next year.
So let's start by wrapping up 2023.
So in the beginning of the year, we were still working on the temporary frames for the hull. There's 22 of them, so it took quite some time to build all these and to cut them with the handheld CNC. And once we have all the frames finished, it was time to start building the foundation, the strong back. And I think what was most challenging during that whole phase of the build was to get all these frames in the exact position according to the 3D drawing. Because these frames are what really makes up the shape of the final hull. So this is the foundation of the whole build moving forward.
Yeah, like if we would get one frame tilted in one direction or slightly off, for outward or inward, there would be a dent in the hull.
Or the whole hull could be skewed in one direction or the other.
Yeah, and that took a lot of measuring.
Yeah, a lot of time, and we used lasers and checked and rechecked and checked again. Took us almost a month, I think, to just position all these pieces.
And to feel confident.
Yeah.
Really confident, like after triple checking, like it is correct.
And it also needed to be really stable, since we're going to climb around on the hull when we're doing the planking later on. So it didn't shift or moved during the building process.
Yeah, and I think we finished, was it in February or March? Somewhere around there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And during this whole time, we were constantly searching for timber, the timber that we were going to build the hull from. And we had that, dream of building the hull in Western red cedar, or cedar at least. But buying that new, we quickly found out that that wasn't possible due to the price. Yeah. So then we went more towards building it with Swedish spruce, right?
Yeah. Or pine.
Yeah. But then luckily we found this man that had this Canadian Western red cedar lying in a barn since the 90s, and we were able to buy all that with an addition of a lot of mahogany and teak that we can use for the interior. So we picked that up or you went to pick that up with the family and our friends in January. That was.
Was it that early? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that early, and we placed it inside the barn or in the stable.
A lot of work.
So, and that was such a relief to have found that. And
definitely.
And
for a good price.
Yeah, and so we got so happy that we were able to build the hull in Western red cedar that we wanted from the beginning, that had these great qualities that we wanted.
Yeah, and once we have sourced all this nice timber for the hull, it was time to start ripping and planing to get all these wooden strips prepared for start constructing the hull. And we were missing some machines, and we actually bought some machines from the same guy that we bought the timber from. A big ripping saw that we could use to mill or rip all these strips. And we also decided to buy a second-hand planer, because there's been a lot of planing with all these strips. There's roughly 3 kilometers of strips in the hull now, so we've been using those 2 machines a lot.
Those were very dusty days and weeks.
Yeah.
So much dust inside the barn and a lot of cleaning. And
the cedar dust is quite irritant. You can get allergy from that, so we had to work with full masks.
It's so fine.
Yeah. And also a lot of cleaning after every ripping session. We had to vacuum the whole barn and sweep the floors to get all that dust out, or most of it.
In April, we finally started planking the hull. That was so much fun.
Yeah,
to do that. That's putting up that first plank.
It felt like the real boat building was starting then.
That's
It
true.
was an actual piece going on there that was going to be a permanent piece.
And there was some trial and error, finding out the best way on how to plank and how to, build the full plank or the strips,
Yeah, what type of
the joints we were
joints.
gonna have,
and also where to start on the hull. There's many different ways to do that, and we decided to start from the shear line, moving up, and that turned out to be a really good way for the shape of this hull.
yeah. And then it was just pushing on,
Yeah,
planking for days, weeks, and months.
yeah, a
So
lot of planking.
we finally finished planking the hull in the beginning of September. And I think you remember that episode. Johan just decided that week that I've decided I'm gonna finish this week, no matter what. I'm
not going to leave the barn before I have placed the last.
You worked
strip
like
in there.
15 hours, work days. And we finished it. And wow,
Yeah.
we were so happy about that.
And also during this whole process of planking the hull during the summer, we also did a lot of projects on the side. We opened up the barn, that big hole, built the extension because the barn was actually a bit too short for this length of boat. We were really up close to that wall, so we needed to, extend the barn, build that small extension hut, if you can call it that, with some barn doors so we can get the hull out. And on the outside, we also needed to make this pad that we will need later on, hopefully soon, when we're going to turn the hull over.
And then we built the stem on the hull, which we built from oak, and also the bow.
Yeah.
And both of those pieces were a lot of handwork.
Yeah, it was a mix of using the CNC with the files from the 3D drawing, but also, like you say, a lot of hand shaping, especially on the bow cone.
Which was fun.
Yeah,
Right?
I like that combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, after we have finished planking the hull in the beginning of September, we started to prepare the hull and preparations for laminating. There was a lot of preparations just to start the work.
First setting up the barn, that we had to do more windproof of the barn to be able to keep the temperature when we were gonna heat up the barn, because we knew we were coming into the colder months of the year.
Yeah.
And then just the preparations for
Yeah, and
everything
that's
else.
all the fiberglass lengths to cut those, and we're still in the process of that. And of course, source all the material, epoxy and everything, and set up that room that we have, the preparation room, so we can cut the fiberglass and keep everything at the controlled environment, especially for the fiberglass.
So that's what we've been doing these last months of 2023. Laminating. And it's been going good. We've improved our techniques, and we are now on the last side of the hull. And this week we are going to try to finish laminating.
So looking back on this year, we have actually accomplished quite a lot. Sometimes, like you said before, it's hard to, you need to think of the things that you have actually done to get a good feeling for moving forward.
And it's motivating.
Yeah, to get yourself motivated.
Yeah.
And I think the most challenging part during this year must have been the planking process, I think, because that was so much of the same.
For so long.
For so long, okay, now it's time to rip more planks, ripping them, gluing them together to longer strips, getting them on the hull.
And then starting over again.
Yeah, and then start all over again and do the same thing for many, many months.
A lot of patience and endurance,
Yeah.
just to keep on going.
And another challenge during the year is the process we're in now, the lamination, because that's something that was new to both of us, and also the implications of doing something wrong during the process is,
It was scary.
Yeah,
It
because
was nervous.
during the planking process, if you made something wrong there, you can just remove that plank and do it again. But with laminating the
it's
hull
not
is a
the
bit
same.
different. The implications of doing something wrong is much, much higher. So that was a bit scary for us since it was the first time.
Yeah, it was like a job with much higher stakes coming with it.
Yeah.
And
but now being in it, we feel really confident now since we have done it for a while and we know the process and we have, like you said, a good workflow now.
Yeah, good technique. So so we think those two jobs were the most challenging during this year, and probably some of the most challenging during the whole boat building process.
Yeah, because both of those are things that are really, you need to have some endurance to do them because they are big projects. And hopefully moving forward in the build, the projects will get smaller and smaller. Maybe not the first time we do it, but that's how we see it now.
And certainly not easier, but of a different type, probably. So we're really happy to have this done, and that leads us into the most rewarding of 2023 in the boat build.
Yeah. And
1, 2, 3, that is finishing the planking of the hull.
Yeah, definitely. Because then it became a boat. Yeah. When we have closed the hull, it really, now we could flip it over and ditch it in the water and it probably wouldn't have been floating. But
and we could see, everyone could see, wow, this is the beginning of a boat. It's a boat.
We have created something real. It felt more real.
That you could see not only on the drawings, we could see it in reality, and that's so rewarding and felt so good, and so much fun to have accomplished that.
Yeah, and also that feeling, like you said, when you were looking at the drawing and now you could see it in real size and a real thing that you have created from something digital.
That made it so much easier to envision how it's going to look in the water, how it's going to move and behave, all those types of things that we have just before talked about.
Yeah, I really hope there will be more of those really rewarding moments during 2024. Especially if we can drink some whiskey. Yeah,
make a toast for a new accomplishment in the boat build. And that leads us into what's going to happen on the boat build in 2024.
Yes.
So yes, we need to finish the lamination, and when that is done, we need to fair the hull and then sand to make the hull completely fair and smooth.
Yeah, hopefully. That will be a lot of work probably. And maybe get some primer paint on there. Yeah. And but once that is done, it's time to flip the whole hull over, and that's going to be a really major milestone to see the hull the correct way up.
Yeah, it's going to make it look even more like a boat.
Yes. And I think we have mentioned this before. We hope we can do this sometime late February, March, hopefully. It's really hard to tell because we really don't know exactly how fair the hull is and how much time that will take. My guess is that it will probably take longer than we think right now to just get the hull sanded.
And when all of that is done, we're moving on to the interior of the boat. And that's going to be super exciting.
Yeah.
And we haven't decided yet and which part of the boat we're going to start with. And we haven't even finished the final, layout of the boat inside.
There's still tweaks.
There will be some planning about that coming up during next year. And finding good ideas and solutions on how we want the interior to be. So it will be, as optimized as possible for the life we're going to live on board.
And also, if we're going to build parts of the deck at the same time as we're starting the interior of the boat, I think it would be nice to not have the deck on, but we'll see. Maybe we will have to do that first. Yeah. So there's a lot of thinking going on the side now, preparing for 2024 and all that.
And as we start working on the interior, we will also be, deciding on systems that we're going to have on board, and might be installing a couple of systems already next year.
Yeah, I think that's a stretch, but hopefully.
Bow thrusters.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and stern thrusters.
Yeah.
Deciding on what we're going to have. That we have an interesting idea. that we might go for. So we're really looking forward to 2024. We hope you are as well, and thank you so much for
watching
during this year, for all your encouraging comments and helpful comments. It's been really great to that we are doing these videos in real time.
Almost,
we're filming pretty much almost every week, the same week as we have that video going up on Friday. But it has been really good in one way, because when you have given us tips, we've been able to
implement them sometimes directly.
Exactly.
And also sometimes that we can give feedback back in the videos from your comments, because we're so close in time.
Otherwise that wouldn't be possible.
No.
If we were like weeks behind or ahead. Thank you for watching, as we said, for contributing to our production in different ways. All our patrons, and one of the perks being a patron is that we have direct contact, because we don't have the time to answer all the emails and comments, but we really focus on doing that on Patreon. But really big thanks to everyone who contributes to our production, making it possible for us putting the time in to film this whole boat build, because that really adds a little bit extra on this whole boat building process. But it's fun. We love to share everything with you, and hope you stick around for 2024. New exciting things happening in the boat build, and of course on the farm and in our lives in general. So we wish you a happy new year, and see you in 2024 next week.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.